Take a moment. There is no hurry right now. Nothing needs to be solved. Nothing needs to be explained. You don't need the right words. Just be here. Some nights feel longer than others, not because of noise, but because of silence. A silence that feels heavy, a silence that listens back. And sometimes, in that silence, a quiet thought appears, a thought you may never say out loud. I have no one to talk to tonight. If that thought has passed through your heart, there is nothing wrong with you. You are not weak. You are not strange. Many people are awake right now, lying still, breathing slowly, holding things inside because there is no one to share them with. Some are surrounded by people during the day, yet alone when the lights go out. Others live in quiet homes where the walls have heard more sighs than voices. Some carry memories that no longer have a place to rest. Tonight is not about fixing your life. It is not about answers. It is not about explanations. Tonight is about presence. A presence that does not interrupt, a presence that does not judge, a presence that does not demand, a presence that stays. You may not feel strong faith tonight. That is all right. You may feel tired, empty, or nothing at all. Faith does not always arrive as certainty. Sometimes it arrives as endurance, sometimes as silence, sometimes as simply remaining. There is someone who knows what it means to be alone in the night, someone who waited while others slept, someone who understands what it means to feel unseen. That presence is not far from you, not above you, not beyond you, just here. You don't need to imagine anything dramatic, no bright light, no sudden voice, just the quiet sense that you are not sitting alone, as if someone had gently taken a seat beside you, not to speak, not to explain, only to be with you. If your heart feels tired, you don't need to lift it. If your thoughts are tangled, you don't need to untangle them. If words feel heavy, you don't need to force them. Silence is allowed here. Many people carry conversations inside themselves at night, things they wish they could say, questions with no place to go, stories without a listener. If that is you tonight, you don't need to hold everything tightly. You can let it rest, not because it doesn't matter, but because you don't have to carry it all right now. Being alone does not mean being abandoned. Even when no message arrives, even when the room stays quiet, there is a love that does not announce itself. It does not rush in. It does not demand attention. It waits, patient, gentle, faithful. You may not feel worthy of that love tonight. Many people don't. But worthiness has never been the condition for presence. Being tired is enough. Being honest is enough. Being here is enough. Let your breathing slow. Nothing forced, nothing measured, just natural. If your mind wanders, let it wander. If memories come, let them pass quietly. Nothing needs to be pushed away. There is a peace that does not erase pain, but sits with it. A peace that does not hurry grief, but understands long nights. That peace is near. You are not being asked to believe more tonight. You are not being asked to pray better or feel differently. You are simply invited to rest with someone who already knows your heart. Stay here. There is no ending yet. Just presence, just quiet, just enough for this moment. There are moments at night when the heart feels like a room with no open doors. Thoughts walk in circles, memories sit quietly in corners, feelings rise and fall without asking permission. You may try to distract yourself, you may try to sleep, you may try to think of something else, and still the heart remains awake. Sometimes the hardest part is not the pain itself, but having no place to bring it, no voice on the other side, no one to listen without interruption, no one to sit in the silence with you. If your heart feels that way tonight, you do not need to correct it. A tired heart does not need answers, it needs rest. Not escape, not forgetting, rest. There is a quiet truth that often goes unnoticed. The heart was not made to be strong all the time. It was made to trust. And trust does not mean having everything figured out. Trust means allowing yourself to be held when you cannot hold yourself anymore. You may feel that you have said everything you know how to say. You may feel that there are no words left. That is not failure. That is honesty. There are nights when prayer is not formed by sentences. It is formed by breathing, by staying, by not walking away from yourself. You do not need to speak clearly tonight. You do not need to organize your thoughts. You do not need to explain why you feel the way you feel. Nothing here requires performance. If you could look at your own heart with gentleness, you might see how much it has already carried, how long it has endured, how quietly it has remained faithful, even when no one noticed. There is someone who sees that endurance, someone who does not measure your worth by productivity, by clarity, or by strength, someone who understands silent courage. You may feel you have been forgotten, but being unseen by people does not mean being unseen in truth. There is a gaze that rests on you without pressure, a gaze that does not demand change before offering love, a gaze that remains even when you do not respond. If you have been holding yourself together for a long time, it is all right to loosen your grip tonight. Nothing will fall apart because you rest. Nothing will be lost because you stop striving. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breathing become slower. Let the night hold you for a moment. Some wounds speak loudly during the day. Others wait for the night. They wait until everything is quiet to remind you that they are still there. You do not need to silence them. You do not need to confront them. You can simply acknowledge that they exist. That is enough for now. There is a patience that meets you exactly where you are, not ahead of you, not behind you, here, in this moment, in this breath. If tears come, they do not need explanation. If no tears come, that is fine too. The absence of tears does not mean the absence of feeling. It simply means your heart is resting differently tonight. You are not required to resolve your past in one night. You are not required to understand your future. This moment only asks that you remain, that you stay, that you allow yourself to be accompanied. Even when words are gone, presence remains. Even when strength fades, presence remains. Even when hope feels distant, presence remains. There is a quiet faith that does not announce itself. It does not argue. It does not explain. It simply stays when everything else grows quiet. Stay here. Nothing needs to be decided. Nothing needs to be solved. This night is not a test. It is a shelter. There are memories that do not ask to be remembered. They arrive quietly, often when the night is calm. Moments once full of life, voices that used to answer, places that no longer exist in the same way. Some memories bring warmth, others bring a gentle ache, and some arrive with no clear emotion at all, only a sense of distance. Time has a way of placing things far away without taking away their meaning. If tonight your mind drifts backward, you do not need to stop it. Memory is not an enemy. It is a sign that something mattered, that someone mattered, that love was real. There are losses that never receive proper words. Not every goodbye is spoken. Not every absence is explained. Some things simply change, and the heart is left to adjust in silence. You may carry names that no longer have a place to rest, faces that appear only in thought, conversations that ended without closure. These things do not make you weak, they make you human. Time does not erase connection, it changes it. What once lived in daily presence now lives in quiet remembrance. And remembrance is not emptiness, it is another form of closeness. If the past feels heavy tonight, you do not need to relive it. You do not need to analyze it. You can let it sit gently beside you, without judgment, without explanation. There is a wisdom in allowing memory to exist without control. Not everything needs to be revisited to be honored. Not everything needs answers to be held with respect. Some nights, the heart simply wants to acknowledge what has been, to say quietly, "This was real," and then to rest. There is someone who remembers every moment of your life with clarity and compassion. Nothing is forgotten. Nothing is wasted. Even what felt incomplete is held with care. You may feel that time has taken more than it has given. That is a feeling many carry silently. But time has also shaped your capacity to endure, to remain gentle, to keep going even when things changed. If you feel older inside than you expected to be, that is not a burden. It is the mark of having lived attentively, of having loved deeply, of having stayed present through many seasons. Tonight, you do not need to measure time. You do not need to count years. You only need to exist in this moment, breathing, listening, being. The past does not define your value. The future does not decide your worth. You are held now, here, as you are. Let memory soften. Let time rest. Nothing needs to be carried all at once. Trust does not always feel strong. Sometimes it feels almost invisible. A small willingness to remain open, a gentle decision not to close completely. You may not trust easily anymore. Life has taught you to be careful, to protect what remains. That caution is not a lack of faith. It is the wisdom of having been hurt and continuing anyway. Trust does not mean expecting everything to go well. It means allowing yourself to be accompanied even when things are uncertain. There are nights when trust is simply not running away, not numbing the heart, not turning inward completely, just staying present. If trust feels distant tonight, you are not failing, you are human. Trust grows quietly, slowly, often without being noticed. There is a faith that lives beneath words, a faith that does not declare itself. It simply leans when leaning feels possible and waits when it does not. You do not need to force trust. You do not need to feel confident. You do not need to convince yourself of anything. Trust can be as small as staying here, as breathing one more time, as listening without resistance. There is a steadiness that does not depend on your effort. It remains even when you are tired, even when you are unsure, even when you doubt. You are not holding everything together alone. You never have been, even in moments when it felt that way, especially in those moments. Let trust be quiet. Let it be small. Let it exist without expectation. That is enough for tonight. There are moments when asking for help feels harder than carrying the weight alone. Not because you do not need it, but because you have learned to manage without it, to stay quiet, to adapt, to endure. You may have learned not to expect much, not because you are cold, but because expectation once hurt. That kind of restraint is understandable. It is also exhausting. Tonight, nothing is being asked of you. You are not required to explain your needs. You are not required to justify your tiredness. You are simply allowed to be held without having to ask for it. There is a presence that does not wait for perfect words, a presence that does not require permission. It notices the weight you carry, even when you do not name it. You do not need to reach upward. You do not need to prove faith. You do not need to form a request. Rest itself can be a form of trust. There are nights when the greatest prayer is allowing yourself to stop managing everything, to stop anticipating disappointment, to stop preparing for loss. You are not irresponsible for resting. You are not weak for letting go, even briefly. You are human. If your body feels tired, listen to it. If your mind feels crowded, do not fight it. Everything inside you has been doing its best for a long time. There is a gentleness that meets you right where you are, not after improvement, not after clarity. Now, you do not need that gentleness to earn it. It is already offered. It has always been offered. If tonight you feel empty, that emptiness is not a failure. Sometimes emptiness is simply space, space where effort can stop, space where presence can enter. Let yourself rest inside that space. Nothing is missing that needs to be forced back in. Nothing has gone wrong. You are not being measured tonight, not by productivity, not by understanding, not by strength. You are being accompanied, and accompaniment does not rush. It does not fill silence with noise. It stays until rest arrives. If sleep comes, let it come. If it does not, that is all right too. Being awake is not a mistake. This night is still holding you. There is a strength that does not look like effort. It does not announce itself. It does not push forward. It simply remains when leaving would be easier. You may not recognize your own strength. Most people do not. It often hides behind routine, behind consistency, behind the decision to keep going quietly. Staying does not always mean being brave. Sometimes it means being tired and choosing not to disappear. There are people who have carried responsibility for so long that rest feels unfamiliar, almost unsafe. If that is you, your caution makes sense. Let rest come slowly. Let it be unfamiliar. You do not need to trust it immediately. The strength you carry was not built overnight. It was shaped by many moments that required you to remain steady without recognition. That kind of strength does not need applause. It needs relief. It needs space. It needs gentleness. Tonight, you do not need to be strong. You do not need to hold anyone else up. You do not need to anticipate tomorrow. This moment does not demand resilience. It offers rest. If your heart feels guarded, do not force it open. Guardedness is often a form of care, care that learned to survive quietly. You can let that guard lower just a little, not completely, just enough to breathe more freely. Nothing here will harm you. Nothing here will rush you. Nothing here will take more than you can give, which tonight is very little, and that is enough. There is a calm that does not depend on circumstances. It exists even when life feels unresolved. That calm is not fragile. It is steady. It has been waiting. You do not need to understand it. You do not need to feel it clearly. It is present even when unnoticed. Stay here. You are not alone in staying. There is a kind of trust that does not speak. It does not form sentences. It does not search for certainty. It simply rests because it no longer has the energy to doubt. This trust is not dramatic. It does not feel like confidence. It feels like letting your shoulders drop without realizing you were holding them up. You may not feel hopeful tonight. That is all right. Trust is not the same as hope. Hope looks forward. Trust stays here. You do not need to imagine a better future. You do not need to believe things will improve. You only need to allow this moment to be enough. Even uncertainty can be held gently. Even questions can rest for a while. Nothing needs to be resolved before sleep arrives. There is wisdom in allowing unanswered things to remain unanswered. Not everything requires clarity. Some things require rest. If your thoughts return again and again, do not chase them away. Let them pass like quiet footsteps moving through another room. They do not need your attention right now. You are allowed to stop monitoring yourself. You are allowed to stop evaluating your faith. You are allowed to wonder if you are doing this correctly. There is no correct way to be held. There is only presence, and presence is already here. If your breathing feels shallow, let it be shallow. If it feels slow, let it slow. Nothing needs adjustment. Your body knows how to rest when given permission. This permission is not fragile. It does not disappear if you think the wrong thought. It does not leave if you feel distracted. It remains patiently. You do not need to reach for trust. Trust is already reaching for you. There is a softness that comes only after effort has ended, not after success, not after answers. after effort. You have tried for a long time in ways no one saw, in ways you rarely name. Trying does not always look heroic. Often it looks ordinary and exhausting. If tonight you feel heavy, that heaviness is not a flaw. It is the natural weight of having carried life seriously. You do not need to carry it right now. You can set it down, even if only for a moment. There is no penalty for resting early. There is no reward for staying alert. Sleep is not something you earn. It is something you receive. If your eyes begin to close, you do not need to hold them open. Nothing important will be missed. Nothing essential requires your attention. You are safe, even when unconscious. You are cared for, even when unaware. This care does not depend on your awareness. Let your body decide what it needs. Let your mind loosen its grip. Nothing will fall apart if you stop holding it together. There is a silence that feels empty, and there is a silence that feels full. Tonight's silence is full, full of permission, full of steadiness, full of quiet companionship. You are not fading, you are not disappearing, you are resting, and rest is a form of being held. Stay as long as you need. Sleep if you can. Remain if you cannot. Either way, you are not alone in this night. There is a kind of rest that arrives when you stop asking if you are allowed to rest. It comes quietly, not as relief, but as release. You may have spent much of your life waiting for the right moment to slow down, waiting until things were finished, waiting until responsibilities were lighter, waiting until someone said it was okay. Tonight, no one needs to say it. Rest does not require approval. It is not something you earn at the end. It is something you are invited into right now. If your thoughts resist rest, do not argue with them. Resistance often fades when it is not confronted. Let rest arrive slowly, like sleep does, without command. You do not need to surrender everything at once. You can rest while still holding questions. You can rest while still carrying concern. Rest does not demand total trust. It welcomes partial trust. Even a small openness is enough. Even a quiet willingness is enough. There is a care that continues whether you are awake or asleep. It does not depend on your effort. It does not pause when your attention drifts. It remains constant. You are not responsible for maintaining this care. You are only invited to receive it. And receiving does not require strength. If your body relaxes, let it relax. If it does not, do not force it. Nothing here will punish you for staying awake. Nothing here will abandon you if sleep comes. This night is not something to get through. It is something that can hold you. Even darkness can be gentle. Even silence can be kind. Not every quiet moment is empty. Some are protective. You are protected in ways you do not see, held in ways you do not measure. This holding does not disappear when you stop noticing it. Let yourself drift or remain still. Both are allowed. As the world grows quieter, some people feel more alone. Others feel more real. Night has a way of removing distractions. What remains is often what matters most. If you feel exposed in the quiet, you are not alone in that feeling. Silence can feel like a mirror. It shows what was hidden during the day. That does not mean you must look closely. You can turn gently away. You can soften your attention. Nothing here insists that you confront yourself. There is a safety in not being rushed, in not being evaluated, in not being expected to respond. The night does not demand answers. It does not require productivity. It does not ask who you are becoming. It simply arrives and stays. You are allowed to meet the night without explanation, without intention, without a plan. If your mind begins to slow, let it slow. If it does not, that is all right too. This moment does not require a particular outcome. You are not failing because sleep takes time. You are not failing because thoughts return. You are not failing because rest feels unfamiliar. Everything happening right now is acceptable. There is a nearness that does not announce itself. It does not interrupt your thoughts. It does not compete for attention. It remains quietly present, as steady as the passing of time. You are not waiting alone. You are not resting alone. You are not awake alone. This night is shared, even if you cannot name how. There is nothing you need to do to stay here. You do not need to focus harder. You do not need to listen closely. You do not need to follow every word. You can drift in and out. You can miss sentences. You can let the sound become part of the room. Nothing important will be lost. Presence does not require attention. It does not disappear when the mind wanders. It does not weaken when awareness softens. It remains even when unnoticed. If your breathing changes, let it change. If your thoughts blur, let them blur. This is not something to stay awake for. It is something to be carried by. You do not need to understand what is happening. You do not need to name what you feel. There is no expectation that you respond internally. You can simply exist for a while, without commentary, without evaluation, without direction. Existing is enough. It always has been. If sleep comes suddenly, let it come. If it comes slowly, that is fine. If it does not come at all, you are still held. Nothing here depends on sleep. The night is patient. It does not rush you. It does not measure progress. It stays for as long as you need. You are not being guided towards something. You are being accompanied. There is a difference. One demands movement, the other allows rest. You are allowed to stop moving internally. You are allowed to stop preparing. Nothing needs to be ready. Stay if you are awake. Sleep if you can. Either way, you are not alone in this moment. Some prayers do not use sentences. They do not ask. They do not explain. They simply remain. This kind of prayer does not rise upward. It settles, like dust after movement has stopped. If you wish, You can rest here without saying anything. No phrases are required. No structure is needed. This stillness is already a prayer. You do not need to form thoughts. You do not need to repeat words. You do not need to recall anything learned. Nothing is being tested. This is not a moment for effort. It is a moment for allowing. Allow yourself to be quiet inside. Allow yourself to be unfinished. Allow yourself to be small. Small is not weak. Small is safe. There is a simplicity that holds more than complexity ever could. Tonight belongs to that simplicity. If a single thought remains, let it be gentle. Let it be childlike. Let it be quiet. Nothing elaborate, nothing explained, just a nearness, just a staying, just a soft awareness that you are not alone. You do not need to hold this awareness. It will hold you. There is a comfort in being known without needing to explain yourself. Not because everything is understood, but because nothing needs defending. You do not have to present the best version of yourself here. You do not have to improve before being accepted. You do not have to clarify what even you do not understand. You are allowed to be exactly as you are in this moment, tired without reason, calm without explanation, uncertain without urgency. There is no pressure to make sense of your inner life tonight. Some things are meant to be lived, not solved. If your past comes close, you do not need to relive it. If the future whispers, you do not need to listen. They can wait. This moment belongs to rest. Being quietly known does not feel like exposure. It feels like relief, like setting something down after holding it too long. Nothing about you is too much here. Nothing about you needs correction. Nothing about you is being measured. You are not being watched. You are being accompanied. There is no judgment in this presence, only steadiness. Let yourself be simple. Let yourself be unremarkable. Let yourself be human without commentary. That is enough. It has always been enough. There is a rare peace that comes when nothing is required of you. No response, no decision, no next step. This peace does not arrive loudly. It does not announce itself. It slips in when expectations loosen. If you notice a softening, let it continue. If you notice nothing at all, that is fine. Peace does not insist on being felt. You do not need to cooperate with it. You do not need to help it along. It knows how to stay on its own. You can rest without understanding why. You can be calm without earning it. You can be held without noticing it. There is no task hidden in this moment, no lesson waiting at the end, no outcome being pursued. This is not preparation. This is arrival. Even your awareness can rest. Even your listening can loosen. Nothing requires your attention now. If sleep comes, it comes gently. If wakefulness stays, it stays kindly. Both are acceptable. Both are held. You are allowed to take up space without doing anything, to exist without justification, to rest without reason. This is enough for this night. The night has its own way of caring for what the day could not. It does not fix. It does not organize. It simply surrounds and stays. You do not need to guide the night. You do not need to understand what it is doing. Some things heal without explanation. If your body feels heavy, that heaviness is allowed. If your mind feels distant, that distance is gentle. Nothing here is a problem to solve. The night does not rush you toward morning. It gives you the gift of slowness, of not having to move forward, of not having to arrive anywhere. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not missing what matters. This moment is complete as it is. Even now, there is a quiet order holding everything together. You do not need to see it. You do not need to trust it fully. It continues regardless. If you feel yourself drifting, let it happen. If you feel yourself returning, that is fine too. Nothing is being interrupted. You are allowed to fade slightly, not disappear, just soften, just loosen the edges of effort. The night does not ask you to be strong. It does not ask you to be certain. It only asks you to remain as you are. And even that is optional. Some forms of companionship do not speak. They do not touch. They do not interrupt. They simply remain close. This companionship does not compete with your thoughts. It does not correct them. It does not replace them. It sits beside them without concern. You are not being led. You are being stayed with. That is enough for this hour, enough for this night. If you feel alone, you do not need to push that feeling away. Loneliness softens when it is allowed to rest. You are not alone in the way that matters, even if you cannot explain why that feels true, even if it does not feel true at all. Some truths do not depend on feeling. They remain steady beneath the surface, like the ground under quiet water. You can lean without knowing what holds you. You can rest without naming who stays near. Nothing is demanded of your faith. Nothing is expected of your understanding. Nothing is required of your strength. You are enough to be here, just as you are. There comes a point when thoughts stop standing in front of you and begin to move behind you. They do not disappear. They simply lose importance. You do not need to silence your mind. Silence happens when attention softens, not when effort increases. If words continue to pass through you, let them pass. If images arise, let them fade. Nothing here needs interpretation. You are not required to follow each moment. You are allowed to drift gently away from yourself. This drifting is not escape. It is rest, a return to what existed before constant effort. Your inner life does not need supervision right now. It can settle on its own, like water when it is no longer stirred. You may notice spaces between thoughts. Do not try to widen them. Do not try to stay inside them. They will come and go naturally. Even awareness can loosen its grip. Even listening can become passive. There is no danger in letting go a little more. You are not losing control. You are setting it down. There is a difference, and the difference is kindness. Stay as you are, change if you must. Nothing is fragile here. There is a comfort in being held without knowing how it happens. No mechanics, no explanation, just the result. You do not need to understand support in order to receive it. You do not need to define care in order to be cared for. This holding is not emotional. It does not overwhelm. It does not demand response. It is steady and quiet and sufficient. If your body relaxes further, let it. If it resists, let that be too. Both responses are human. Both are allowed. Nothing here is measuring your openness. Nothing is evaluating your sincerity. Nothing depends on your cooperation. You can rest even if you doubt. You can rest even if you feel empty. You can rest even if you feel nothing at all. Being held does not require belief. It simply happens, like gravity, like breathing, like the passing of time. You are not alone in the depth of this quiet, even if it feels that way, even if words fail, even if sleep has not come. This presence does not leave when attention fades. It remains when awareness dims. It stays through the night. You do not need to stay awake for this. It will continue whether you notice it or not. There is a quiet relief in realizing there is nowhere you need to arrive tonight. No destination, no conclusion, no final understanding. You are not moving towards something better. You are resting within what already is. And what already is enough for this moment. The pressure to progress can rest. The need to improve can soften. Nothing is being delayed by your stillness. If time feels suspended, let it be. If moments blur together, that is natural. The night does not follow the rules of the day. You do not need to mark time. You do not need to track awareness. Nothing is lost when attention loosens. This is not a pause between important moments. This is the moment, and it requires nothing from you. You can rest without waiting for relief. You can be still without expecting change. You can remain without anticipation. There is a gentleness in staying without intention, a freedom in not needing to arrive. Stay as long as you like. Leave if sleep takes you. Both are welcome. Some quiet does not fade when sound continues. It lives underneath, like a steady current beneath calm water. Even as words pass, this quiet remains. It does not compete. It does not demand. It simply holds space. You do not need to enter it deliberately. It is already around you, already beneath you, already within reach. If you sense it, you do not need to hold on to it. If you do not, nothing is missing. Quiet is not an experience to capture. It is a condition that already exists when effort stops. Your body understands this. Your breath understands this. Your nervous system recognizes safety when nothing is required. You are allowed to be here without awareness, to rest without reflection, to exist without commentary. This quiet does not leave when words end. It stays through sleep, through waking, through the passing of the night. You are not being led away. You are being left in good hands, even if you do not know what that means, even if you do not feel it. This is enough for now. This is enough for tonight. There is a point where even resting feels unnecessary, where you are no longer trying to be calm. You simply are. This state does not announce itself. It does not feel special. It feels ordinary and deeply safe. You do not need to recognize it for it to be real. You do not need to stay inside it. It comes and goes without consequence. If your body feels distant, let it. If your awareness feels soft, let it soften. Nothing needs anchoring. You are not drifting away from what matters. You are resting inside it. There is no edge to fall from here, no mistake that breaks this moment, no thought that removes what holds you. You do not need to stay present. Presence stays without you. If sleep deepens, let it deepen. If it lightens, that is fine. Nothing is being interrupted. This companionship does not depend on your state of consciousness. It continues whether you notice or not. You are allowed to disappear slightly into rest, not be gone, just be unburdened. This is not loss, it is relief. You do not need to carry yourself through the night. The night is already carrying you. You are not responsible for holding everything together. You are not required to stay aware. You are not asked to be strong. Even your worries can rest. Even your concerns can loosen. They will still exist if needed. They do not need your attention now. There is a rhythm moving beneath this moment, steady, unhurried, faithful. You do not need to follow it. It moves on its own. You are safe in the movement you cannot see, held by what does not tire. Nothing here is fragile. Nothing is temporary. Nothing depends on your vigilance. Let the night do what it knows how to do. Let rest come in its own way. Let awareness fade or remain. You are not alone in this passage of time. You are not unattended. You are not forgotten. This night knows how to hold you, and it will continue long after words pass. There is a quiet comfort in realizing there is nothing left to do, nothing unfinished, nothing waiting, nothing demanding your response. This does not mean everything is resolved. It means resolution is not required right now. You are not postponing anything important. You are not avoiding anything essential. This rest is not an interruption. It is part of what sustains you. If your body feels settled, let it remain. If it shifts slightly, let it shift. There is no correct position for being held. You do not need to check in with yourself. You do not need to notice how you feel. This moment does not require awareness. It simply allows presence. Even effort can rest now. Even intention can soften. Nothing needs direction. You are not being prepared for something later. You are being cared for now. That is enough. Let the sound continue as it will. Let the night remain as it is. Nothing needs your participation. You can sleep without permission. You can stay awake without effort. Both are welcomed. Some forms of staying do not involve words. They are not conversations. They are not guidance. They are simply nearness. This nearness does not fade when attention drifts. It does not weaken when sleep deepens. It remains without requiring response. You are not being observed. You are being accompanied. No expectations, no evaluation, no demand. If your breathing has slowed, that is fine. If it has not, that is fine too. Nothing needs adjusting. You are allowed to be entirely passive, to receive without effort, to exist without explanation. There is nothing you need to understand about this moment, nothing to name, nothing to hold. This staying is steady. It does not hurry. It does not end. It simply continues through the night. You are safe to rest here, safe to remain, safe to sleep. Nothing will be lost when awareness fades. Nothing important depends on wakefulness. This night holds you as you are. There is a calm that does not arrive suddenly. It does not replace anything. It simply settles where effort once lived. This calm does not need to be protected. It does not disappear if you stop noticing it. It does not depend on silence or sound. It remains on its own. You do not need to stay inside this calm. You do not need to recognize it. It will stay whether you are aware or not. If your body feels still, let it be still. If it moves gently, that is natural. Nothing here is being disturbed. You are not expected to maintain anything. You are not responsible for preserving peace. Peace knows how to remain without help. Even time can soften now. Minutes do not need to be counted. Moments do not need to be tracked. The night is generous. You are not waiting for something to change. You are allowed to remain as you are. This calm does not lead anywhere. It does not prepare you. It simply holds what already exists. You are safe inside this holding, even if sleep comes, even if it does not. There is a presence that does not step forward or pull away. It remains without movement, without insistence, without demand. You do not need to respond to it. You do not need to understand it. You do not need to acknowledge it. It remains, whether noticed or not. This presence is not something you summon. It does not appear because of words. It does not leave because of silence. It simply stays. You are not required to believe anything. You are not asked to feel anything. You are not invited to do anything. You are simply not alone. If awareness fades, this presence does not. If sleep deepens, it does not withdraw. If thoughts return, it does not compete. It is not fragile. It does not tire. It does not end when the night passes. You are carried without being moved, held without being confined, accompanied without being led. This is not something to finish. It is something that continues. You can rest here. You can sleep here. You can remain here. Nothing will change when the sound ends. Nothing important will be taken away. This presence remains always.